Hey guys, and welcome to the second part of the special edition of the Pagnotta Take on Sports. We're going to do the second part of the Tar Heel preview, and our first one was pretty successful, so we're hoping the second one will be successful as well. So if you haven't seen our offense preview, go watch that, and of course keep watching this, and we're going to do some more. We'll talk about the Tar Heels throughout the season, plenty. We'll probably have a preview just about every week for the games. I guess we could start. I guess we start on the defensive line.
Right.
Would be the smart place to start here. So when you look at the defensive line, I don't know if there's really a number one guy that you should start with here on our defensive line. There's no one that's really I guess you would say leader as if we've had in the past. But I guess if you had to look at it, I guess we could start with the more veteran players. So you look at guys like Jesse Rogers, who's a senior. He's expected to be a guy that could fit in at the one defensive end position. I think he's going to be on the left side. At the other defensive end, from what I've seen, I believe they're going to start Mikey Bart.
Yeah.
I believe that's who's going to be the starter at the other defensive end position. And Junior Nonconde, I've seen him as possibly a starter for that South Carolina game as well. This group is talented. So what do you think about those first three? What have you think about those guys?
Rogers, I believe, he's either a junior or a senior. So
he's a senior.
Yeah, so he's experienced. Mikey Bart, he's kind of like a blue-collar kind of guy. He earns what he gets. I watched a feature today, actually. Trey Scott was just talking about him and the effort and everything, and how they're going to be used with him and Nazir Jones also.
Yeah.
At the 3 technique. The thing about it, is like you said and you mentioned earlier, we don't have a true number one, like a number one pass rusher. I think that's a good thing because going in, especially week 1, South Carolina cannot double one guy, so they got to block all 4 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
And I think that's an advantage because, years past we've had guys that are getting double teamed and everything. And so I think early on we don't have that proven guy yet. And I think it's an advantage. I know that the defensive line in our new scheme is going to be very important on how our defense performs as a whole.
Of course, yeah. We saw that at Auburn with him. The year he won the championship, they were able to coach the quarterback very well.
They had 2 big defensive linemen, Nick Fairley, and they had another one that really interior helped them.
Okay, you're talking interior.
Yeah.
They had Lemonier on the outside, so they got some.
So.
Yeah, when I look at it, I think my favorite guy at the defensive end position, I like DeJuan Drennan.
Yeah.
I think from what I've seen from him, he could be that guy. He's just got to step up and prove it because when I looked at the lineup today, I know Nonconde is expected to start, but it was like it's either him or Drennan, so I know that's going to be substitute throughout. But I really just want him to seize that job because he's so talented, and I think eventually he will be able to get that job. Now, the guy that we're hearing a lot about, and he may end up taking this job a couple of games into the season, is true freshman Jalen Dalton.
Yeah.
They have really talked about him a lot throughout this, leading up to the season. Coach Fedor is pretty high on him. He says he's learned it he's picked up the playbook very quickly. And Gene Chizik, I know I've seen a couple of videos from him where he seems to be pretty, he takes a liking to Jalen Dalton as well. And he's a big guy. We saw him in meet.
Yeah.
He's a monster. So, I think he may be able to slide in there and provide us with some pass rush.
I think, you look at the depth chart. We've got great depth at the defensive line. The whole, we can go 8 or 9 deep, which is big, with scholarship reductions. We haven't really had that depth in recent past. And so we're going to be able to play a lot of guys. So, hopefully they can find a group that can work consistently. I expect this Thursday that they'll rotate different guys and really try to find something that will work. Because you got to have people who, you got to have on the defensive line a guy who can really stop the run, the guy that can rush the passer, and then you got to have that guy who has that motor, who doesn't mind running 15 yards down the field to make a play as well. And so the effort, I think, is going to be key with those 8 or 9 guys, and have the high energy. Even if you're not a starter week 1, that because you don't start week 1, I mean you can't start week 2.
Yeah.
And I think the depth's going to prove really big for us this year, on the defensive line.
I mean, guys like Malik Carney, who was a recruit last year, he should see some time this year as a redshirt freshman, and we don't know about Jason Strobridge. He could as well, and he looked pretty good when we saw him meet the Heels too. He looked like he'd been putting on some weight. So, of course, you mentioned you need a guy that can stop the run. We would think that's going to be inside.
Right.
The guy that is pretty much a known starter, even though a lot of people say that. From what I saw, I thought he's our best defensive lineman from last year, but a lot of people are not really high on Nazir Jones.
Right.
I have him being an all-ACC type guy this year. I think he's that good. He's expected to start at the one position. The other guy would probably be Jeremiah Clark. From what I've seen, most of the videos I've seen with the starters in there, he's been in there, and I've heard he's been performing pretty well. So we would expect him hopefully to slide in there and play well as well. But Justin Thomason, he's expected to be in there as well. So what do you think about some of these defensive tackles that are going to have to try to help us stop the run?
Well, I think that's going to be the biggest key to our whole defensive line as a whole, because in 3 years since Fedora's been here, we haven't stopped the run. I mean, Georgia Tech ran on us, Miami's ran on us. Pretty much everyone has ran on us.
That was bad.
And we haven't been good stopping the pass either. So, like you said, I like Nazir Jones. He makes big plays. You go back to the Virginia game last year, he made the interception. That really turned the whole game. Jeremiah Clark's a good player. So, also there's also good depth there as well, so they can rotate 4 or 5 guys out and everything. So, there's big expectations coming from defensive line coach Trey Scott. And everything. So.
Yeah, I mean, up front, got to mention Aaron Crawford. That was the guy that Fedora told us in the interview that he was the defensive guy that had come in and really put his name out there. And hopefully he'll be able to get into the rotation a little bit. Robert Dinkins as well, he should see some time. And even walk-on Ian Dibble could find his way on the field. You just really don't know with these guys. But, yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, that's the key. I think they're going to be able to rush the passer, too, especially from that defensive tackle position. I mean, we're looking for that guy to be that Sylvester Williams-type presence that we haven't really had since he left.
Right.
And I think Nazir Jones could be that guy. From there, you move to another, I think, at least, deep position on this defense, which is the linebacker.
Right.
Just overall, this part is very deep. When you look here, of course, we got to start with probably our favorite player defensively, easily.
Yeah, but he's also the heart and soul of the defense.
I mean, he's the leader of the. Yeah, he is the leader of the defense. We saw. Did you see the video that they posted today of Fedora mic'd up at the mock?
Yeah, I haven't seen
thing?
that yet.
You haven't seen it? Well, the thing that I noticed is when he's first walking out, it's the start of the video, and he says, "All right, Jeff, let's get them all riled up." And you see Jeff Schottmer, get everyone riled up. I know Landon Turner's the leader of the offense.
Right.
But Jeff Schottmer, you get the feel that he is the leader of that defense. I mean, you look at the way he plays. I mean, he's a hard-nosed player. Yeah, he had problems with tackling last year. But, I mean, let's be honest. Our best tackler last year was Coach Fedora. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But I like the way that he plays. And the thing that fits him into this defense so well is you have to be able to cover people in this defense, the style of defense that Gene Chizik plays, and that fits right into Schottmer's wheelhouse, as we learned last year. That's exactly what he wants to do, and I believe he's our middle linebacker, which he'll be more because he'll be more of a true middle linebacker. Because with the 4-2-5, it's really two outside linebackers. It's not.
He was all over the place last year.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe he's supposed to be the guy setting the formations and
I know that.
And really setting us up defensively.
Yeah, from what I've seen, he was easily named the starter. So yeah, he'll be right in the middle, and being in that middle linebacker position, I think that'll help him because you're just worried. You're more worried about the run. You are focused on stopping the run out of the middle linebacker position. The other outside linebacker is going to be Shaquille Rashad.
Yeah.
But with him, it's a weird situation because I have a feeling that if we can't have success rushing the passer, they may move him down to defensive end.
Exactly.
But he could play. big snaps out there at that outside linebacker position. If he plays like he played, he played pretty good last year.
Yeah.
He just really went unnoticed. He's just, again, got to work on the tackling, but I think he'll definitely improve, and I think he has improved this offseason. Another guy who's a senior, he's been there a long time, so another guy you got to look to as a leader. And then, the other linebacker position is unsettled, but I'll let you talk about these two first before I get into that other one, because that's a little bit of a different.
Yeah, with Schottmer, I love him. The way he plays, the attitude he brings. He's always, I look at him and the guy loves to play football. He's always ready. He's always prepared the best he can be come Saturday. And with Rashad, like you said, because in the old scheme he kind of played some on the defensive line, kind of. And
he played that hybrid.
Yeah, so he played a lot kind of down low, more of a run stopper kind of position, or tried to be. So, with those two guys, they're seniors. They've been in the program. They know what's expected. And I expect them to perform well. And the other one, I think we named Joe Jackson as our starter.
Yeah, he is named our starter, but Case and Collins could factor in. The thing about that situation is Case Collins is ultimately more talented than him. His physical tools are better. His problem is, and I watched when he got interviewed by, I think it was Ross Martin or someone, maybe it was Inside Carolina, it might have been Paige Hopkins. And he said he just wasn't picking up, for some reason he just wasn't picking up the scheme as well as Joe Jackson does. I don't think it matters because I think both of these guys will play. Yeah. There's no way they're just going to stick Joe Jackson out there and be like, okay, Kaysen, just stand here and watch.
Right.
Okay, you're going to have to put those guys in there, some of these backups. But Joe Jackson, I believe, is he another walk-on, or maybe he's a guy that was just, he was not highly recruited.
Yeah,
he's not well known. Unless you're a true Tar Heel fan, you don't know who he is, really. But we know, of course, who he is. He played good last year. He stepped up late in the year. I believe he started the Miami game, and from there, I believe he was our starter mostly the rest of the year. But he won that starting job, so he can't be playing that bad. So he must be grasping this defense pretty well. I think he can have a good year. But yeah, Case Collins is a talented guy. He came in as a true freshman last year, and late in the season he played very well. So if he plays anything like he played late last year, he could find himself easily taking that starting job away by midseason.
Right.
And we need him to play well, because if they do move Shaquille Rashad down, they might need him to step into that other position.
Exactly.
Other guy, a linebacker. When you look at linebacker, there's some depth here, but not a lot of it is proven. We got Danny Mastromato. I think that's how you pronounce his name. I know from watching a lot of the Gene Chizik things. He showed up a lot in those. So hopefully that should be a good sign. Cole Holcomb, that's a senior. Expect him he's a redshirt freshman. Looking at the wrong line there. He's a guy that's going to play a little more this year, or is expected to at least. And then you're getting into some of these true freshmen. Of course, our favorite. My favorite player on the defensive side of the ball, no doubt, from the spring game that we watched here at Rocky River High School, was Andre Smith. He was really good in that game, and I think he's going to play well, and Jonathan Sutton as well. So what do you think about some of these young kids?
Well, there's talent, but like you said, it's unproven. But the only way they can prove themselves is if they get game reps.
Yeah.
And so, I know that Chizik wants to rotate guys and keep players fresh, especially the way we play offensively. So these guys are going to be able to get into the games and try to earn playing time and improve their worth. Andre Smith, he's a big talent.
Yeah. Really liked him.
So, I believe that they'll get their chances, and hopefully they can put themselves in the right position to make a lot of football plays and really help our defense, because those guys, most of them are the future, because of the seniors of Schottmer and Rashad. So, you're
right. They got to fit in quickly. But yeah, they'll get they'll get some game reps, of course. I mean, the thing is, there's so many guys. I mean, you got Aiden Bonilla. I remember he was recruited as a safety, so they've moved him down. He's gained a few pounds, so I don't really know what he's looked like. Hunter Crayford, another guy, he could play as well. Alex Bales, Kemi Petaway, I believe he came in as a defensive tackle. Now he's a linebacker. I haven't seen a whole lot of him, but they've said he's a talented guy, so that's someone to keep an eye on. And Marlon Petty as well. He's a redshirt freshman. So then you move on from there. Probably the most talked about area of improvement on this defense would be the secondary. Then how can you not talk about this area when you got people that were involved in letting up 70 points to ECU?
Yeah.
I mean, we got torn up in that game, but see, I mean, I bring that up, but it's something that if you're, here at Carolina, if you're playing, you cannot think about that. It's a totally different year, and I mean, we saw flashes. We'll start at the corner position first, because you got to break this down in two parts. I would say when you look at corners, my favorite is Brian Walker.
Yeah.
I really like Brian Walker. I mean, he's a junior. He's extremely talented coming out of high school, right from around here in this area. So I've seen a lot of him before. He's a good player. And I mean, we saw, game against San Diego State last year. He had to make that reaction play where he took it all the way back to the house. And there were some times against some of these, good receivers in the ACC, he could lock them down. But again, problem was if they catch the ball on you, they were pretty much getting a huge game because the tackling was pretty poor. But he's got to be the leader at that one spot, and then at the other cornerback position, we have really no idea who's going to start. We have probably 3 or 4 guys at least that start there. So, what's your take on Walker? And I'll let you say who you think the other starter is going to be.
Well, Walker, he's a junior, so he's got game experience. Like you said, he's made big plays. But as the whole secondary, and I heard Fedora say that the big thing they did from the time Chiswick was hired was the whole secondary learned the basics of how to play the secondary position from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
So they literally, it was almost like Pee Wee day one, and they were being taught how to play as a corner and a safety. I'm a big fan of Walker. As we go to the other side, I believe that the guy that Chiswick's kind of said a lot about has been Des Lawrence, a guy that I really like. But there's so much up in the air because there's so many players that are fighting for that position.
Yeah.
Because somehow there is some depth there as well.
We're pretty deep there actually. It's really shocking.
As big as the defensive line is up front, if we can't stop the pass, because we let a true freshman throw 6 touchdown passes against last year in Deshaun Watson. I know he's a hell of a talent, but he threw for 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. So that can't happen.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
So that position needs to be the most improved, and in a sad way, if it gets worse than that, it's going to be really ugly for us.
There's no way.
But I'm really anxious to see what we do in the secondary and see, because I believe we're pretty young with only a senior and you got Smiley.
Yeah, the safety. We'll talk about the safety in just a minute. We got to
kind of young, and besides Walker and Lawrence and those guys.
You got because you got Lawrence, like you said. If you went off today, probably from what I've seen, you'd probably say Lawrence would be the starter. He's a junior, so he's been with the team longer. Maybe, he hasn't been in the system. Can't really say that because it's a new system, but he's seen more than some of these guys. MJ Stewart, he was a talented guy last year. They thought he was going to come in and start.
Right.
He won for us. Unfortunately, the most memorable play for him was against San Diego State, where he got beat by probably about 15, 20 yards. He was burnt, but he's really talented, and I don't know. Hopefully, he could step in there. The one guy that many people thought had taken the job was going to start was Malik Simmons, but he's suspended for the first 2 games.
Yeah.
He's had the off the field issues. So hopefully, whenever he comes back, he can get whatever problems he does have fixed, and he can stay on the field. But he's a senior. He's been there longer than any of these guys. And that's just terrible that he something like that had to happen, and he ends up getting suspended. But then you look at some of these other guys. I mean, T.J. Giles, he's been there since T.J. Yates got recruited, I'm pretty sure. He's been there forever. So he's got a lot of experience as well. I remember seeing a couple of plays from him last year in the Liberty game where he looked good. We saw him at the scrimmage here in Charlotte. He was returning punts and everything like that, and he looked pretty good. And then you got, probably a guy that's coming on really quick in both here, and we'll talk about him in special teams as well, and Mike Hughes. He is on fire. This freshman is someone that's come in. I mean, he was a late recruit for us, and he's come in just a short amount of time he's been on campus, and he's lighting it up. I mean, I think he's really showing Coach Chiswick and Coach Fedora what he's made of. So hopefully he's able to come out and really perform well. Hopefully, I mean, I would love to see him slide in there as a true freshman and take over that role if he's that talented enough. Kedrick Davis, he moved to corner last year. He actually started the Liberty game. Now, I mean, it wasn't the greatest game for him, but another year of experience should help. And Corey Bell Jr. is another guy. He's another true freshman. Don't know if he'll end up playing. Shaquille Price is another junior. So, like you said, there is a lot of depth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost scary what this could be. But we said that last year. I remember sitting there saying last year, look at all this depth we've got in this secondary. But like I've told you time and time again, the worst move that we ever made last year was moving Tim Scott to safety.
Yeah.
We should have never moved him to safety. I just don't think that a sophomore Lawrence was ready. I think Walker was, but Des Lawrence just wasn't ready. And then you said, you were mentioning a couple of these safeties. We'll get into that right now. You said Sam Smiley. I believe he's expected to be one of our starters.
Yeah.
I believe he's going to be the free safety that's expected to start. The other guy is Donnie Miles. He's a sophomore. He's expected. They said right now he's beat out Dominic Green, but I like Dominic Green. From what I've seen, he played. I remember he played very well against South Carolina the last time we played him 2 years ago, and then he played well when I saw him play against Liberty last year. So keep an eye on him to probably factor in there somewhere. But yeah, what's your take on those three? Those are the guys that are expected to be the main starters.
Yeah, Smiley, he's a vet. I like him. We actually got a chance to meet some of his family at the scrimmage. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, very nice people. Very nice people.
Dominic Green, it was kind of weird because, 2 years ago, he was a freshman, and we saw him make some good plays, and then, last year, it was we never heard of him.
Well, it was pretty much even after the South Carolina game, it was kind of like Elijah Hood. He was there, and then all of a sudden, he just disappeared. We didn't see him. Last year, you didn't see him really at all. I don't know if he's been injured or what's happened to him, but I thought he was extremely talented. You're right. And then Donnie Miles, if I'm correct, did he not come in as a linebacker?
Yeah,
I thought he did. That's what I thought. Or maybe an athlete. But he's expected to start. I mean, I know I've seen a little bit on him. I haven't seen a whole bunch. But from what I've seen, he's talented enough. And hopefully he can fit in there because those safeties, the last line of defense, I mean, at times last year, it looked bad. I mean, there were a lot of times it was just more of the effort. They just didn't try to make the tackle. If it was just them and the receiver, the ball carrier, they just didn't even try. And that was disappointing. So hopefully the efforts increased this year, from a whole defensive unit, but especially in the secondary because, there's too many times we had blown assignments or, weird one-on-one coverage, you're getting beat. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Sam Smiley, we remember the play he had last year.
Yeah, when he tried to intercept the ball, missed it, and Georgia Tech scored a touchdown.
It was just a bad read, but it's just plays like that where it's you shake your head and you just ask,
We got to limit our mistakes.
Yeah, I mean, especially, in the ACC this year with the passing games. Developing even more. Other guys, Alan Artis, you asked me this a couple weeks ago, was he a redshirt freshman? No, he just didn't play last year.
Wow.
He's a sophomore. He's extremely talented, so we should see him in there this year, and I really hope we're going to see him in there this year because I liked him as a recruit. Cameron Albright's another guy who was recruited last year. He's another guy that could factor in this year. True freshman J.K. Brett, that was an athlete we brought in. And he's looked really good. They actually, for a time, thought he was going to start. That's kind of died down just a little bit. But, I mean, I think he's going to be good. And then Jay Stackhouse. We all know Jerry Stackhouse, of course. But, you know, I think he could factor in as well. He's a true freshman, so he may end up getting redshirted, but you just never know. What do you think about some of these backup guys? And who do you think is...
Well, you know, they probably, like, you know, we were talking about some of the other positions, you know, there's probably a lot of talent there, especially with Artist and Britt, just not proven.
Yeah.
You know, so hopefully they get some game reps, and you know, like you said, there was a time where J.K. Britt was maybe going to be a day one starter.
Oh, yeah.
But even if he doesn't start, he still should get a lot of playing time.
Yeah, I think he should be in there. Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
That's
and
about it.
One other guy would be Stephen Albright. I did forget to mention him as well. So, you know, just want to throw some of these names in there just in case. You just never know who will step up. Well, from there, we go from the defense to, you know, maybe our most shockingly appalling group from last year. I don't really know how to put it any better. Even if, I mean, we were terrible on special teams last year. Place kicker, that's really been a disaster since Casey Barth left. It has been bad. Thomas Moore is gone, and that doesn't even, I mean, it honestly doesn't help us because he was our kicker last year most of the time. Now we got our kickoff man, Nick Weiler. He's expected to be our kicker. That's what I've seen. He's going to be the starter. So, you know, he's a heck of a kickoff man. One of the best in the country. I believe he was statistically number 2 last year in the country in kickoffs.
It's just weird how he can kick off very well, but when it comes to kicking a field goal, it's just like a whole different thing for him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the accuracy is different, but it's like, I mean,
because he's got a big time leg.
Yeah. Now, redshirt freshman Freeman Jones. This is a guy we recruited. He was actually one of our better recruits last year, 2 years ago. Yeah, last year. That's right. Last year's recruiting class. He was really talented. So, you know, he could. If Weiler doesn't work out, he's probably going to end up getting it. Because they've got to move on quickly. If one guy's struggling, I think they got to try to put the next guy in there. Because we really need to make some field goals this year. And then Will O'Brien's another guy that could factor in there as well. So, what do you think about the kicking game this year?
Well, you know, it's got to be improved because the past 2 years has cost us some ball games. I mean, there wasn't a lot of faith in it last year. I mean, I remember hearing Coach Fedorsa after a Virginia game when we were down 27-21 that he was like, we were going to go win the football game. You know, we weren't going to settle for 3 and try to get the ball back because the chances of that happening weren't very good. But the fact that we struggled to make field goals longer than 30 yards is very disappointing. And then, like you said, because as good as our offense is, we're always going to get the ball in the end zone or even the red zone. But 3 points goes a long way, you know, to winning football games.
You're right.
And so even if we can hit half of our field goals, you know, after seeing how bad it was last year.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we got to be like, you know, Florida State type where we're making, you know, we miss like 2 all year. I mean, it's just, you should not have to go into an extra point thinking, okay, we're probably going to miss this.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're lucky they don't adopt the NFL rule because we would be in some, we wouldn't make one.
We'd be going for 2.
Yeah, every time.
But, you know, so I expect there to be improvement.
Yeah, and if any of you guys are watching this, like, we have nothing against you. We want you guys to do well. It's just, this is, you know, it's got to improve. This cannot be like last year. Because I remember the Virginia game. We were sitting there watching. We had a late field goal attempt that we were going to go for, and we got lucky that they came offside. Because if they wouldn't have come offside, we probably would have missed the field goal, and they would have had a chance to win the ball game. That was what was scary for us. So then you move another position where we lost a great player, probably one of our better punters in our school's history. And Tommy Hibbard departing. He is a great punter. When you look here, Corbin Daly is the guy that they established as their punter. They established him a long time ago. And from what I've seen in some of the special team videos or when they've done some of those videos on punt returns. He's looked pretty good.
Yeah.
He's actually got a pretty strong leg, and he looks like he's able to angle the ball well. So hopefully he can be consistent enough, and I think he will be. Behind him, you got Joey Mangili. I know that he was mentioned a little bit by Fedora in one of his conferences or something like that. He talked about him a little bit as well. So he's pretty high on him. Hunter Lent he's another guy that if they needed him, and same thing with Blake Bosmiski. But what do you think about the punting game? Mainly Corbin Davis.
Yeah, that's also a big thing for us, because we got to be able to, whenever we have to punt, we flip field position. Like, say if we have good field position, try to give the opposition bad field position.
Try to give our defense at least a chance to stop them.
And Bailey, like you said, or Daly,
Daly,
he's got a good leg. I've watched him, and he knows how to punt the ball into the corners. And everything, and he's looked really good placing the football. And some of the teams that we could play, South Carolina, who they put back there, they can have a dynamic return.
Arrow Cooper, they could put him back there.
It's a big key to what we do as a team. I know Fedora expressed displeasure because I believe I don't know if he's like the coordinator, but he does a lot of coaching of that unit, and he stresses he stresses special teams a lot. And so, I expect there to be drastic improvements in our punting and our punt coverage as well, and the tackling off the coverage that we get.
Yeah, that's one thing about the punt coverage, though, from what I've seen. I don't know if Mike Hughes, which we'll talk about in just a few seconds, if he's that good, but he's returned. He's had a couple of returns that I'm like, we're nowhere in the area. We've got to be better in punt coverage, because in the ACC you face some dynamic returners.
Yeah, I mean it could be a case that Daly is just out punting the coverage.
Yeah, I mean it could be, which
may not be the best thing to have, but as long as we can get down there and make a good tackle,
Yeah, that's what we got to focus on.
I don't mind you booting the ball 60 yards.
Yeah, that's what we need. I mean, we trap them deep. So then with our kick returners, kick return. This has been probably the most frustrating position for Tar Heel fans, because we're literally all saying the same thing. Put Ryan Switzer back to kick return. Now, I understand where they're trying to go with this. We don't want to tire him out. Because he does run a lot of deep routes. But the only thing I don't understand is they wanted to put T.J. Logan back there. I'm like, he's our starting running back. That makes no sense. Why would you want a starter in there in place of a starter who's been more proven?
In my opinion, the best one to go back there, if you want to go with the skill position player, would be Morris, because of just the speed. And you don't get, he's not carrying the rock 20 times a game. But the Switzer thing, like, it makes sense, because a weird stat, like, the most injuries occur in a football play on a kickoff return play. And, so you don't want to risk Switzer getting injured. With Logan, he did return a kickoff against, was it Cincinnati in the bowl game 2 years ago? So he's had success returning kickoffs. But I'd like to see if we want to put a skill guy back there. You could put a Romar Morris, something like that. Kind of just like a speedster.
They've talked about putting Mac Hollins back there as well, and some of these young freshmen coming in. My guy that I would want back there, from what I've seen, because we just can't put him at punt return. We cannot take Ryan Switzer out of punt return. He's returned 5 in a year. I know he didn't do he didn't have any last year, right? No, that's it. Yeah. So, but I like Mike Hughes. From what I saw in his return ability,
he runs hard.
He runs hard, and he's a fast guy. He hits the holes well, too, because he can cut back very well. And I know that's the thing. If he's not starting at the corner, put him in there. Let him
put
play.
him, or maybe like a Tyson Williams, just try to get these players touches.
Because they've shown us that they can, they can do it. From what we've seen. We didn't get to see Mike Hughes at the scrimmage. He wasn't enrolled yet. But, Tyson Williams now, he might be a little bit. I don't know if he has the speed back there, but they could put Todd. He's the Todd Gurley type. Todd Gurley wasn't the fastest guy on the team, but he'd run you over.
Yeah, he'd truck you.
Yeah, and they would put him back there. But that's right. And then of course, punt return. We know who it is. It's the man, Switzer. He had 5 in 1 year. I understand.
And that all came like in the second half of the season.
Oh, man, because he wasn't our punt returner week 1. No, it was not him. I don't even remember who it was.
I don't either.
No.
I believe it was Romar Morris to start the year.
Yeah, I think it was Romar. Yeah, it was someone. And they just threw him in there. I guess they said, let's take a risk and see what this kid can do. And he shocked all of us. I mean, and I think the expectations were really high for him last year. You shouldn't have gone in there, saying, he should have had 3 or 4. Okay, that's not going to happen. People learned how to cover him.
Yeah.
And our punt coverage our blocking on punt returns was terrible.
Yeah.
It was awful. But, one thing I did notice about when he did return last year, for sure, he tries to dance a little too much. He's trying to find that cutback move, that hole. He just needs to go upfield. Like, take the ball upfield.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. I mean, I'd rather have some yards.
I'd rather have 1 yard forward than 30 yards sideways.
Yeah, going sideways or backwards. Yeah, no, I don't want to see that. But yeah, like I said, the punt blocking has to be a lot better because it was bad last year. Like, there were some dangerous hits that he took. He took that hit against NC State.
Yeah.
That you just never want to see. I'm not saying that was the punt blocking that time.
Yeah.
He fair caught that, did he not? And he still got hit, right?
I don't know. I believe it was intentional though.
Yeah, they tried to take him out. Oh yeah.
I'm not going there.
Yeah, let's not.
I was present for that game, and when you hear the state fans cheering an injury, it kind of sent the wrong message. But
yeah, I mean, the fans that go to the game are not the most respectful fans. I mean, I'm assuming we have fans like that, but I really don't think we have a section that would cheer like that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we know state fans. They are dirty fans. We've known that.
Yeah.
So, nothing personal, but yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see this year, and I think, definitely, like you said, Fedora stresses special teams because what is the first unit that's on the field in every football game?
Yeah.
It's the special teams. You're the unit that sets up your offense and your defense to have success.
Right.
So, oh yeah. So hey, I want to thank you for joining me for these 2 shows, man. It's really helped. Definitely having someone here to talk about the Tar Heels. So, like we said, guys, we're gonna try to do at least a little bit of a preview on all of these.
Yeah.
All these games. Before each time, I mean. We'll just have to see how it works. We got school and work, so it doesn't always work out for us. But thank you for watching this. Hopefully we can get up near 100 views again. That is great that we're up over 100 in not even just over a day and a half. So hopefully we can get this one up there as well. Thank you very much. And like I said, if you like this video, please subscribe below. Follow me on Twitter at Future Tar Heel, or on Instagram at Anthony_Pagnotta96. If you want to follow this guy right here, you can follow him at Future UNC Grad on Twitter, or at Josh Marlow 5 on Instagram. Thank you guys very much.